Yes, my friends, welcome back. More massive stories to break down today. We discuss all the latest reports surrounding Ugarte and the current hiccups in this deal. Moving on, we discuss player exits and we discuss Pochettino as he looks so ruthlessly axe his squad down for next summer and create his squad in his image. So right now we've got a ton of things to break down and discuss. I want to quickly say thank you to everyone for the support, kind words, and coming back to just check out the content too. Obviously means a lot and is very motivating for me to make sure I got the videos ready for all of you. So thanks, and let's not waste no more time. So right now, let's discuss a breaking report courtesy of Fabrizio Romano, and we discuss Mateo Kovacic because currently Man City are holding concrete talks over the signing of Mateo Kovacic, and over these past few days here, they have been holding positive discussions around personal terms. So right now, it is starting to look like Kova's future is now Manchester. Now historically, Pep Guardiola has been a massive fan of Kovacic for a few years. Now I remember this extract from Raheem Sterling when we first signed him, and he mentioned that whenever City played games against us, Man City players really respected Kovacic because he was a very difficult opponent to play against. So reality simply is this: Kovacic is making the step up in his career by signing for Man City. And to be fair with you, the positional style game that Pep Guardiola likes to play, that will complement Kovacic. Under Thomas Tuchel, when he introduced that same variation of that system, Kova played some of his best football under Thomas Tuchel. So I feel like he could be a very interesting option for Man City. But in my opinion, I did feel like last season was by far his worst season with us. I felt like I didn't see too many famous Kovacic drives in midfields. I felt like his overall play was quite sloppy at times. And statistically, they aren't painting pretty pictures. He's one of the worst performing players statistically last season. I can understand why your motivation might falter. I mean, Thomas Tuchel getting dismissed just like that, a manager where you're playing your best football under him, I mean, that's going to be a big blow. And then just the calamity in which we controlled last season, that undermined the entirety of the squad. So I'd imagine that Kovacic might feel a bit grateful that he's going to an organisation that's a bit more balanced, that has things in order a lot more. Still though, it's crazy to think that, we've seen Jorginho leave us, Kovacic is close to Man City, and N'Golo Kante might not be here if he doesn't get another contract offer. That's like our Champions League winning midfields out the door right now. But it's not all doom and gloom. We've got Enzo Fernandez here, a midfield player that's like a completely different profile to your Georges and your Kovas. Players for me that really benefited from playing a more slow possession style football. But right now, we want to play a bit more vertically. We want to play a bit more aggressively. We want to, cover a lot more grounds and play a lot faster. So I think the players we're looking towards, Enzo's here. Ugarte hopefully gets secured. Casado is still part of the list too. I think right now is probably the time to revamp the midfields. For me, the midfield is the most important part of the team because that midfield allows you to dictate how your team is going to play and what type of team you're going to be. And now with an introduction of a new style and profile midfield player, I do kind of feel like we don't necessarily need that profile of Kovacic anymore. So if Man City can give us some big money, and I'm talking like at least maybe 35, 40, 45 million, I'll happily take that. And you could argue that a lot of the guys who are moving on are slightly entering that stage of decline right now. So let's see what happens with this one. But it seems like Kova won't be here anymore. So share your thoughts and opinions. How do you feel about the story? Let us all know. Right now, let's end things with the final story. So right now, let's discuss these latest reports surrounding Ugarte. Now, I did a video a few days back discussing the fact that we had met personal terms with Ugarte and the wage packet was believed to be between 5 to 6 million euros. But fast forward to today, and we got the confirmation that the wage offer has in fact come from Paris Saint-Germain, who are willing to pay that 5 to 6 million euros per year, and our offer pales in comparison. Ugarte would earn around 2 million euros net per year if he signs for us, and obviously, naturally, even though Ugarte wants to test himself in the Premier League, he wants to work under Pochettino, he wants to come and sign for us, this is a massive stitch up right now. I mean, the offer is just too low compared to Paris Saint-Germain's. And you have to remember that we're competing against Paris Saint-Germain, a club that has Champions League football, has Mbappe, guarantees silverware every single season. And obviously the only thing that they can offer is literally money. So I think right now, people at this football club have to step up and find a new agreement to appease Ugarte. Like, I'm sorry, like the difference is way too big. And it gets a bit worse too, because the installment package plan is even better from Paris Saint-Germain. They're willing to pay the full release clause installment over 2 years, and we're hoping to pay the entire deal off over 5 years. Now, the context for us is a bit different because we're literally rebuilding the entirety of this club from staff to players. Hence why so many new signings have been given those long-term contracts, of course, to help amortize their fees a bit better. But when you're bringing in such a massive influx of players and new personnel, that's going to have a massive financial cost. And the fact that we've missed out on getting Champions League football by having a disastrous season last season, it does mean that we have to be a bit more frugal and a bit more responsible in terms of how we allocate our budget in this window. But for me, yeah, it's very, 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 very simple. If Pochettino, our new manager, is already saying strongly right now, listen, Ugarte is the one DM I want. He's personally vouching for him. He's personally confirming the fact that this is his key signing. I think it would send a terrible message if we don't get the key signing for our new manager instantly. It has to be done. We have to find solutions. It's the only way. In terms of the offer we've made, we do know that Lisbon rejected the opportunity to take Fofana on loan, and that makes a lot of sense. I mean, currently they have this incredibly exciting forward. I think his name's called Strementi or something like that, 18 years old. I mean, this guy will be the next guy in the future to be leaving for like 50, 60 million plus. So why would they take on a player on loan that they don't own, that will go back to us in the future? It makes no sense for them. But we came back by offering a bigger bonus, which is 5 million euros on top of willing to pay the full release clause in installments. So, you know, there's no issue there. It comes down to finding the right package to entice Ugarte to sign for us, because I personally feel like that is way too low. Paris Saint-Germain have now set the benchmark in terms of his value and how much he should expect to earn financially. And based on the reports that were coming out from Portugal, from Records, they mentioned that Todd Boehly was spotted alongside Jorge Mendes and the agent of Ugarte as well too. They were holding the meeting, and it was Todd Boehly that presented the wage packet. It wasn't Paul Winstonley or any other Chelsea owners. I think we need to remember this. Even though Todd Boehly will have a more hands-off approach now going into the new season, he has hired the right experts to run the club. That doesn't mean that he's going to have no say whatsoever, and that he's going to have tons of distance from the club. I mean, we need to remember that the other guys have to work upon selling players as well too. And we have over 15 players that we need to sell in this next window. So this summer is set to be another busy, stressful month for our boards and our staff. But it has to get done now. And I'm crossing my fingers that this is a negotiation tactic from Todd Boehly. I'd imagine that maybe we could entice Ugarte to sign for us. We might not match the wage packet that Paris Saint-Germain are offering, but if we offered something closer towards that with greater bonuses, greater incentives in that contract. Because the bonus when you're offering players long-term contracts is that once the first year or two goes, you can offer extensions, which allows the players to earn more money and allows your player costs that you're paying for these guys to drop in the meantime. So, there is the possibility to create like flexible solutions. And I'm not giving up on this story right now. I think Pochettino has made things abundantly clear. This guy, Ugarte, is the number one guy I want as my DM. The reassuring thing is that in terms of the football and the project, Ugarte is more interested in signing for us compared to Paris Saint-Germain, who only realistically have money. Hey, for me, it's simply this, yeah? Like, we can't allow Ugarte to feel like he's being taken for a puta. Like, nah, my guys, that can't happen. So, a bit of an obstacle that's been reported upon. I don't think it's time to get too worried or panicked right now. We have to remember this, man, when it comes to stories in the summer window. By the time we get the report, it's technically already old news. So as I keep saying, try and like see it as the picture getting painted behind the stories, and don't get too much attachment over things like, you know, finances and details. I mean, for example, I mentioned that we agreed personal terms in the video a few days ago. Clearly that wasn't the case at all based on the reports I was covering that story from. And to be real with you, agreeing personal terms is one of the easiest things to do when it comes to negotiating. So it's not even the biggest story or news whenever you read something like that. So I'm going to let you guys know that for the context of this window. But as I'm saying, I can't imagine the board will let down Pochettino this early. And, you know, let's be a bit patient and let's see how things progress. Now for the next story, let's discuss an article from the Daily Mail. And it reports, of course, that Pochettino wants to dramatically cut the squad down. Already, Zakaria and Joao Felix are out the door. And in the case of Joao, you know, people at this football club wanted to actually sign him, but it was Pochettino that was like, listen, he's not part of my plans. We have Nkunku here. I have Kai Havertz. I'm still hoping Mason Mount can stay. Let's see what happens with that one. Even though, you know, I keep saying it, I really like Felix, and I would have liked to have seen him get another opportunity for next season. You know what, I can understand what Pochettino's saying at the same time. Regardless though, in the article, it does mention some of the guesstimations around certain players that are definitely leaving, and the types of figures we could potentially receive for them. Now, in the case of doubts around certain players, you're looking at Koulibaly. Ideally, we're hoping that a club in Serie A can come in and make a loan offer for Koulibaly, which I think is very ironic that we're now desperate for like Serie A clubs to make loan moves, but you know, ends up working in the long run. Of course, N'Golo Kante, the contract's on standby. Could he decide to move on? Are Paris Saint-Germain going to make a move? I would not be surprised by that. And obviously, Azpilicueta, you know, Barcelona have made attempts before. Rumours are that he could be going back to La Liga. Time will tell with that one. But anyway, as you guys can see on the screen, these are some of the figures that we spent to sign a lot of these players to begin with. And you know what? When I'm seeing these figures and these prices, it's making me remember all the stories I was covering on this channel and all the excitement from people around these guys at the time. And it's so funny what can happen literally like 9 months later, right? But I feel like if we could bag around, 280 million from player sales, I think that would be a very successful window. And hopefully that puts us on even longer. I mean, I think it's not impossible, you know, Ruben, 20 mil for him. Mateo Kovacic, at least 30 to 40. I think the potential figures that are being quoted for these guys aren't too unrealistic. Maybe Pulisic might be like 5 mil less. Who knows how that's going to work out, but I think the most important thing is that a lot of these guys are on incredibly high wages. And as you guys are seeing on the screen, here's an indication behind some of the current wages being earned by players at this football club. Now that we're hoping to sell many players, that's going to dramatically reduce the wage bill. And already the average wage we're paying per week is around 70 to 75,000 K, which is very good. And I think the idea behind this strategy is that, you know, we're purposely targeting very young guys. And I think as they grow and fulfill their potential, some of these guys will remain here and earn higher contracts, which works out even better for us because we can continuously just, you know, reduce the player costs year on and year out. So yeah, some of these wages are a bit crazy. I'm looking at Chukwuemeka on 100 bags a week already. I mean, I think I kind of get that. I think by the time he's like 24, 25, and if he's fulfilled his potential, he'll be earning a lot more than that. But yeah, some of these figures are a bit mad. I mean, taking Koulibaly off the wage bill is going to be very important. I mean, 300,000 a week for a guy that realistically might not play as many games next season. Of course, N'Golo Kante, that's going to be a very interesting one right there. I think the money offered to Raheem Sterling, even when I covered the story last season, was a bit obscene, even though I get his reputation and experience in this league. But again, I think the one that stood out to me the most is Cucurella on like 175 bags. Yeah, I'm sorry, like we need to up this offer for Ugarte very quickly, and there's a lot of players that can be sold here that's going to bring more flexibility. So that's one of these second stories out the way. Share your thoughts and opinions. And now let's end things by discussing confirmed player exits and players who are rumored to be leaving very soon. Let's start with the reality for certain players who are bound to leave. And we start with Denis Zakaria. Now, to no one's surprise, we aren't going to exercise the clause in his contract to sign him on a permanent after his loan spell. So he's heading straight back to Turin. And to be fair with you, I don't feel like this is like a Saul type of situation. I feel like Zakaria was definitely unlucky. I mean, injuries at the wrong time. You know, Thomas Tuchel leaving the club when Tuchel played a big part in persuading the club to sign Zakaria in the first place. That's not going to help things. We haven't seen him since during the start of this year, and I'm guessing that's for financial reasons. Maybe there's like certain clauses in his contract where if he plays a certain amount of games, then he has to be signed afterwards. That wouldn't surprise me. But you know what? The few times we did see him, he wasn't too bad. He tried to give an account of himself. And he's shown that he can probably still play at like a top 10 level. And from a political and sporting perspective, it was just the wrong move at the wrong time. But I feel like Zakaria gave me like a very positive impression about his game. And it got me thinking, rah, if this guy didn't have these serious like career-killing potential injuries, like all those seasons back, when this guy was killing things at a young age in the Bundesliga, how clear would Zakaria be right now? Like, we saw a little glimpse. So good luck to Zakaria. And we also discussed another exit in Dujon Sterling. This time he signed a 4-year pre-contract agreement with Rangers. And you know what? Good for Dujon, man. Honestly, really, really happy for him. Again, another player that has suffered lots of injuries since leaving Cobham to make it in the men's game. And I remember this guy when he was back in Cobham, man, like 16, 17. Like he was reminding me of like a young Maicon. I mean, bombing down that flank, bullying players, goal threat, pace for days, extremely athletic. And I felt like this is someone that could be turned to and could be ready for the Premier League. But injuries haven't been helpful. But this guy's mentality cannot be faulted. And now let's discuss some of the latest exit news. And we start with a surprising story, and it involves Callum Hudson-Odoi, because reports from Gazzetta della whatever, I'm forgetting right now, are saying that Sarri and Lazio are hoping to sign Hudson-Odoi on loan for next season. Now, I find this really interesting because if we allowed Hudson-Odoi to leave on loan to Lazio, after that loan spell ends, he's available on a free. His contract's over. So knowing that he's a Cobham grad and the business accounting reasons behind the benefits you can get from selling these guys, would it be a surprise if Callum Hudson-Odoi was given like a contract extension by like a year or two, just so we can still own the guy? And then after that loan spell, maybe put in an option to buy at the end, so we can generate more money from like loan fees and a transfer fee at the end. That could be the play. Could Sarri be that saving light for Hudson-Odoi? You know, working under a manager he knows. Sarri likes players he's worked with that kind of get his ways of training and what's expected of them tactically. Listen, it could work. And we've seen a lot of Cobham guys have great success in Serie A. So let's watch this space. And for the final update, we get ready for Loftus Cheek, who is getting ever closer now to signing for AC Milan. Now, Ruben is taking a pay cut to make this move happen. He's earning around 150k a year. It showed you that once upon a time, he was the next big hope until injuries have... But I mean, as a football club, we are just ridiculously unlucky with injuries, and we need to do a lot better with it now, man. But going back to Ruben, he wants AC Milan. They've been after him, showing persistence for like how many months right now. And even though this is like a reluctant move, because ideally, like, this football club has a place in his heart. He's a fan, he wants to remain here. He understands that he might not get as many opportunities, and to play for AC Milan, like a historic European club, where you'll get access to European football. I mean, this could be the move that brings it back to the international stage. The Euros is next year, next summer. Could Ruben find himself a place in that squad? Time will tell, but I think this is a positive news, and I'm just thinking about that left-hand side at AC Milan. Rafael Leao on the left, Theo Hernandez left back overlapping, and Ruben on that left-hand side too. Like, do you understand how crazy that left-hand side could be? Mad. So again, it would have been crazy to turn down AC Milan. I think it's good for him, and he leaves here with his head held high, and I got a lot of respect for the guy. My friends, on that note, that is the latest news for today. Make sure you guys have the notification button set, because if more stories break today, then of course I'm going to cover them, and you can't miss out. So make sure you guys are ready for anything, yeah? You know what summers tend to be like at this football club. So my friends, on that note, I need to finish this video, get my ass to the gym, and start trying to get ready for the summer. But obviously I could have done a bit more. Let's keep things real, but there's still some time in it. So yeah. just gonna keep the positivity up right now. So my friends, I'm rambling, I'm gonna go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon again for more videos. Cool.